my use of other device or other device functions. The other people say that, well, if you're visiting a website that sustains itself by ads and you're choosing to block them, I mean, basically, you are cheating the owner out of their, income. It's kind of like, getting a free service. You're stealing money from them because ads is what sustain them. And at the same time, you are destroying the website because, website sustains itself by displaying ads, and if you are using the website but not seeing ads, the website is not getting revenue, and hence, the website can go down. Which side is right? Well, if you're into this kind of stuff, go to Reddit and you'll find a lot of passionate people who will be happy to argue with you. Okay? Join the flame fight, right? Once the internet neutrality disappears, it'll be very interesting to see how this is going to be affected. And basically, I think internet neutrality is probably going to be, gone within maybe a few months. So, right? Yeah. If you follow the news, I mean, basically, the decision is going to be made, and it looks like it's going to be ruled against net neutrality. So, I hope I'm very wrong about that, but unfortunately, a lot of people seem to think that too. So, I hope we're all wrong. But yeah. Yeah, if you're watching this in the future, we had a thing called net neutrality. It was interesting. Yeah. Okay? So, now, we talked about attacks on clients. Now, let's talk about attacks on servers. So, everything that we talked about so far dealt with attacks on clients, meaning, browsers, basically, and the users who use the browsers. But what about attacking the servers themselves? So the way that a typical web application works is you have a front end. The front end is basically what the users interact with. And in case of a web app, it's basically the pages that you see. So when you enter some kind of input on a web page, HTTP request is sent to the server, and then the server uses some kind of a scripting module in the backend. And those can be written in things like, PHP. They can be written in, if you're a Microsoft guy, ASAP. They could be written in Python. And there are many different languages in which they can be written. Perl, Ruby on Rails. There are a lot of different languages. And yes, now JavaScript too, Node.js, right? So, and then the scripting module will process your input. It may also have to consult some kind of a backend database in order to generate the input, and it'll generate the resulting page in HTML, and then the server will send back an HTTP response containing the generated page. So this whole discussion is, how do we mess with this? Okay? How do we take this and break it? So before we start breaking this, let's actually learn a little bit about how backend logic works. In the examples where you go, we'll be using PHP. Yes, I know. Some people like PHP as much as sticking a fish hook in the eye, and I'm one of those people. But it is a widely used language, and a lot of websites that have vulnerabilities are written in PHP. Now, I'm not saying that PHP is less secure. I'm just saying that it's most widely used, and a lot of people who use it have no clue what they're doing. So I'm not blaming, the technology. I'm blaming the people. Okay? So now, so here is how a typical PHP server backend script works. So the point of this backend script is that it's a backend to a web application where the user will input a number. The number will be sent to the server. The scripting module written in PHP will take that number, compute a square of it, and then generate an HTML page containing the square and send it back to the client. So, the way that PHP works is all of the PHP code must start with less than, question mark, PHP. Okay? And it's closed by question mark greater than. So for example, here is my backend script. It's written mostly in HTML, which is exactly how I'm going to serve it up. But notice, there are parts of it that are written in PHP. This is called inline PHP. So what the server is going to do is, as it's generating the page, it'll say, okay, HTML, showing that your number was, PHP code. So the server is going to execute the PHP code to do the following. So, you know how I said before that you can send form data using get and post methods? And how each variable has a name and a value? Well, the way that PHP works is there is an array called get, and that array contains all of the data that was sent using the get method. And the way you index that array is by the variable name. So, if on my web page, I had a form which may have looked like something like this, and then, input, then, type was, text, and then the name was called number. And when I submit this form, and the script receives this form, I can access the value of this field by providing its name as an index. And it's going to return the number that the user has entered. Makes sense, right? And what am I doing here? Well, I'm taking that number and I'm saving it in the variable called x. And then right here, I'm multiplying x by itself, thus computing its square. I'm saving its value in the variable y. And then echo y basically means put this on a web page. Okay? Put this on a web page right here. Print it on a web page. So after the server has executed the script, it'll generate a page which looks like this. So if the number was 5, so if the user on this web page, that's the text field, if he has entered 5 and hit submit, then this script is going to receive that 5. It will pull it out of the get array, compute a square of it, and print it on a web page. So I will end up with a web page that looks like this. Oh, and typically forms will tell you where to submit the data. So this form would also contain a little attribute called action. So action is what to do when the form is submitted. And it could be sent to, so HTTP / and it could be, my site, .com, and the script could be square.php. And I also need to specify one more thing here, which is the method, which would either be get or post. And in this case, we're using get. Now, so when I hit submit, an HTTP request is going to be generated, and in that request, what's going to happen is it'll have a URL that looks like this. So http www.mysite.com/square.php, and then the variables, which will be the name, which is number, and then the value will be to what it was sent to. Okay? So this is what's going to be in the URL field when it's sent to the server. And then the server is going to execute the PHP script, pull out the value of number, multiply it by itself and store the result in variable y, and then print the value of y on the web page. Makes sense, right? So now, how do we break this? Well, That's where the fun begins. Let's take a look at a remote file inclusion attack, or the RFI. How does this work? Well, let's say that I have a page which looks like this. So this is a script for generating a web page. You have probably seen websites many times that have a header and a footer for all their web pages, comma, header, and footer. So what's happening right here is I have a statement called include. Include basically means take the contents of this HTML page and just embed it in my current page that I'm generating. So at the top, I'm going to include a header that is defined by the HTML in the file called header.html. So basically, I'm just taking HTML from that file and I'm including it into my web page. Boom, I just dump it into my web page. Next, I have another include statement. Now, this include statement says that I should take the page name that was specified in a query that was passed to this website and execute the PHP script that will generate the page. So people are going to be accessing this page something like this. So Victor.com is the name of my website, index.php, that's the name of this script, and page equals news. So people are going to, people in the URL will specify the name of the page that they want to see on this website. And when the script receives this, it will include the header, so basically generate a header. Then it will check the get array, and it'll pull out the value of the variable called page. Now, let's say that the name of that variable is news, so the person wants to see the news section of the website. So this value will become news. To it, I add .php, and presumably this will execute another script called news.php, which will presumably generate a page containing today's news. And then finally, I have another include, which will generate the HTML for the footer. Okay? So you may say, all right, so why is this bad? Well, this could be bad because of the remote file inclusion attack. What I can do is, as the value of the page that I want to see, instead of adding some legitimate page on this website, I can supply the URL of some page on some other server. And the page just happened to contain PHP code. Oh, malicious PHP code. So, well, what is the server going to do when it gets this? He says, okay, well, generate the header, check. Then access, then get the PHP code from http://evilsite.com/evilcode. Add PHP onto it and execute it. Wait a minute, what did I just do? I just ended up executing somebody else's code, right? My server ended up executing the code that somebody else wrote. Arbitrary code execution. That's bad. Because I can execute any code I want on your server. So that basically means I own your web app. Okay? I can deface it, I can take control of it, I can take it down. I can dump your databases, I can do all kinds of things. So, and that never ends well. Just ask, Ashley Madison, right? You heard of the Ashley Madison hack, right? Yeah, so. Now, so the remote file inclusion, it's called like that because I'm including a page from some other website into your website. But there is also something called local file inclusion attack. So in the local file inclusion attack, instead of including a page from another website somewhere into your website, I'm going to be including a page from your own server. You may say, why is that so bad? What if that's something you don't want me to see? For example, let's say that as my path, as my page name, instead of specifying a name of a file on this server, like news, or a location of a remote script that I want to execute on your server, which is RFI. What if I supply a file path? I don't know, such as admin/secret page. Maybe that's a page containing admin's notes. So what I'm doing is, I'm basically using this vulnerability in order to display a page from your server on the website. And this could be a page containing secret information. Now, you can actually configure your server to basically restrict which paths the app is allowed to access. So even if you do have this vulnerability, the attacker is going to be limited in what he can do. But don't write code like that. That's the most important part. Okay? Don't allow the users to basically control your website. Don't allow them to include into your website whatever they want. You're the developer, you should be deciding that. Okay? So, and then the last part is the SQL injections. Now, why are those attacks possible? Once again, because users don't sanitize their freaking inputs. Yeah. So, so would you guys like to take a break between SQL inputs, or do you want to finish that up first? Break? Okay. Yeah, so let's take a break, and then, we can finish this off, and I'm going to root my computer, and please help yourself to some pizza.